saving lives and improving public health outcome worldwide. Through research, engineering, and a vision for global impact, he represents how young innovators can contribute to a meaningful change. Without further ado, let us give our warmest welcome to Mr. Kenzo Miguel P. Taiko.
That's equivalent to 130 commercial airplanes crashing daily. Yet, this tragedy receives far less attention because it happens silently, one person at a time, predominantly in the world's poorest communities. Hello, today I have the honor to present the global impact of preemptive detection of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease in low and middle income countries. But before that, please allow me to introduce myself. I am Kenzo Miguel Taipo, currently a senior at Quezon City Science High School in Manila, Philippines. My passion lies at the intersection of biomedical engineering and global health, particularly as a solving global challenges scholar at Yale University. Through my work with Empowered and Kalinga, I've witnessed firsthand the urgent need to address healthcare disparities in indigenous communities, which drives my advocacy for educational equity and accessible healthcare solutions. This work began with our cardiovascular health advocacy in the Philippines called PINTIG. Through hands-on community engagement, we've seen the devastating impact of undiagnosed cardiovascular disease and the transformative power of early detection and community-based healthcare delivery. These experiences opened my eyes to a global crisis that demands immediate action. Atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, or ASCVD, remains to be the leading cause of death worldwide, claiming about 17.9 million lives annually. This encompasses coronary heart disease, stroke, and peripheral arterial diseases that result from silent but deadly atherosclerotic plaque buildup developing over decades before fatal events occur. Now, here's the tragedy. 80% of premature cardiovascular deaths occur in low and middle income countries. Yet basic interventions like generic medications and lifestyle counseling can reduce cardiovascular risk significantly by 70 to 90%. The question isn't whether we can save these lives, it's whether we will choose to act. The data reveals a devastating disparity in survival rates after major cardiovascular event. High-income countries achieve 95% one-year survival rate, while low-income countries achieve just about 45%, representing 4.3 times higher mortality rate, 47% lower survival rates in developing nations, and 70% lower early detection in low-income countries. This isn't just about statistics or numbers, it's about human dignity and the right to live. Early detection rates create a stark global divide. While developed nations achieve about 85 to 90% early detection through systematic screening, low and middle income countries lag dramatically behind, with some regions showing less than 15% adequate cardiovascular risk assessment rates. This detection gap directly translates to preventable deaths, yet effective low-cost solutions exist today. On a positive note, the tools to change this reality are already in our hands. The World Health Organization, or WHO, risk prediction charts can identify high-risk individuals in under 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes using basic information. Point-of-care testing devices costing under just $200 achieve 90% accuracy without laboratory infrastructure. Community health worker programs can expand healthcare reach by about 10 times. These aren't just theoretical solutions, they are proven interventions waiting for implementation. Three countries prove that systematic cardiovascular disease prevention works at scale. We have Ghana, Iran, and Mexico. Their results demonstrate what's possible when we choose to act. Please allow me to present each and every one of them. First is Ghana. Ghana's community-based screening program achieved a 67% reduction rate In undiagnosed hypertension, screening about 45% people, or 45,000 people rather, across 120 villages. Most importantly, they prevented an estimated 1,200 cardiovascular events. Ghana proved that community-driven healthcare saves lives even with limited resources. Similarly, Iran screened 23 million people. That represents about 28% of their total population, achieving a 40% reduction in cardiovascular mortality in participating regions. They prevented approximately 46,000 deaths over 4 years from happening. Iran demonstrated that national level systematic screening saves lives on an unprecedented scale. Last but definitely not the least, Mexico's mobile health units that increased early detection rates by 300% in previously underserved areas around their country, screening about 180,000 rural residents and preventing 3,400 major cardiovascular events. Mexico, and among any other, proved that innovative technology can bridge healthcare gaps in the most remote communities. Building on these proven successes, I propose the REACH initiative, the Rural Early Assessment for Cardiovascular Health. REACH operates through community-based screening, enhanced primary care, and referral networks, emphasizing rural focus, early detection, simple assessment tools, community integration, and health equity. This isn't just healthcare program, it's a systematic approach to saving millions of lives using methods we know to work. We stand at a crossroads. Every day, 47,000 people die from preventable cardiovascular diseases. We have the tools. We have proven solutions. Ghana, Iran, and Mexico have shown us the way already. The question before us isn't whether we can save these 5 million lives annually. It's whether we will. Today, I challenge each and every one of you to make a choice. Choose to fund, choose to advocate, choose to act, choose to share this message. Together, let us choose to save. Because when we choose to save lives, millions of families across the world choose hope over heartbreak. As we go along, these findings are supported by extensive peer-reviewed research from leading global health institutions, the World Health Organization data, and published outcomes from successful cardiovascular prevention programs worldwide. I extend my deepest and most sincere gratitude to the Johns Hopkins University's Global Health Leaders Conference, the Yale Young Global Scholars Program, my alma mater, the Quezon City Science High School, and all the organizations and individuals who have supported this research. Special appreciation to my family and the communities in the Philippines whose experience have shaped this work. Most especially, I thank the Lord who has always been so loving, selfless, generous, merciful, and kind to me and my whole family, despite our unworthiness and sins. To God be the glory always. I just want to share and I just want to express my sincerest gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time and attention to watch and hear this video. Together, let us choose to save lives. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful insights and personal experiences, Mr. Taiko. Your knowledge will truly help and inspire everyone here in their research. I hope those tips you gave uh, I hope those tips you gave us ignite the hearts and minds of each and every student researcher to explore and never stop being curious. And now, as we move into sessions that focus on strengthening the heart of student research and effective science communication, we are honored to introduce our next speaker. Our presenter, Margalo Amos V. Cerro is a senior high school student under the STEM strand of Ramon Magsaysay Cubao High School. She is a passionate advocate
Yes,
of
miss.
environmental science and science communication, dedicated to bridging technical research with meaningful social impact. In 2025, she earned the Best Project Award at the National Science and Technology Fair under the Life Science Individual category, and in the same year, she presented her work at the Fourth International Conference on Biodiversity and Climate Change. Since 2024, she has served as the president of RMC Chess Research Club, where she has revitalized its mission and empowered students to pursue impactful and relevant research. She also contributes to science literacy as a science writer and editor for RMC Chess Ang Tanglao. Beyond the lab and the page, she expresses creativity to music, photography, and the visual arts, proving that science and creativity can thrive together. For session 2, she will guide us through the 2 hours of an effective research project, sharing insights drawn from her research journey and leadership experience. And she will also discuss the developing of an effective poster and slide deck presentation, equipping us with practical tips to communicate research clearly and powerfully. Through leadership, creativity, and a strong commitment to science, she represents the future of RMCH, the future of research-driven advocacy. Without further ado, let us give a warm round of virtual applause to Miss Margalo Amos V. Cerro.
Ah, ano, nandiyan yung mga
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last session of Suri. So let me share my screen first. May yung presentation pala kasi nakashare na yung screen ko. Okay, ayan. So first of all, guys, I would like to apologize if medyo maingay yung paligid ko. So I'll try my best to modulate my voice para marinig niyo ako ng maigi. So for our next topic na i-discuss, um, deliberately talaga 'to na, in-arrange namin na huling i-discuss as a way to sum up everything that we've discussed from the first from the first session. So, um, nagkaroon ng mga discussions about asking the right questions and yung mga tips on how to generate meaningful and effective ideas for research. And nag-share din kami all throughout the 5 sessions of Suri kung ng mga sample research topics na pwede nyong i-explore. And now, we are down to the penultimate topic, which is the 2 hours of an effective research project. And so let's begin. So familiar ba kayo dito sa limang to? Okay, taas ng raise hands nga. Familiar ba kayo dito? Nakita nyo na ba to? I'm sure nakita nyo na to, guys. Ayan. Parang may nakita ako nag-raise hand. Tama ba? Ayan, familiar na familiar naman ang lahat. So I'm sure ginamit to ni Ma'am Nyar na um, parang criteria. Siguro nag-title defense kayo or final defense. Alam ko nagpa-final defense na yung grade 10 eh. So yes, ito yung official na criteria na ginagamit sa Science and Technology Fair. So ayan. Creative ability, scientific thought, thoroughness, skill, and clarity. Diyan tinitingnan yung mga projects natin. But what if we could simplify these details? I mean, I'm not reading a lot. No? So, medyo nakaka-overwhelm tingnan yung mga detalye na yan. Pero, kung pasisimplihin natin, ano ba talaga yung um, nagde-define ng effective research project? So, I would like you guys to type in your the chat box. Ano sa tingin niyo tong word na to? So, it's a 5-letter word which refers to the scholarly toughness that demands precision, discipline, and depth in every pursuit of knowledge. Ano sa tingin niyo tong word na to? Ayan. Huwag mahihiya guys, mag-type lang kayo sa chat box. Or kung alam niyo na yung meaning, mag-raise kayo ng hand. Yan sabi ni Andre Rigor. Okay. How about the others? So, ay nakamute pala ako. Sorry. So, tama yung tinype ni Andre. It's rigor. So how about this second word? It's a 9-letter word which refers to the measure of how a project's knowledge and outcomes genuinely connect to and benefit the people it serves. So ano sa tingin niyo to? Type lang kayo guys. Para ma-exercise ang inyong mga utak. Okay, sabi ni Andrea Raimundo, relevance. Okay, and she got it right. It's relevance. So, ayun. So instead of trying to understand all of these questions and reading a lot to, ayan. What if we could simplify it to using this graph? What if yung effective research project pala ay na-define ng dalawang to? So I will use this platform to share my experience and perspective kung ano nga ba yung 2 Rs na nagde-define ng effective research project. So, think about this. So, masabi natin na itong project na to ay mataas yung rigor pero mababa yung relevance. GIS mapping of decorative fountains in a private subdivision. Naman, parang ang flashy niya. High rigor because of precise geotagging, water flow modeling, and maintenance projections. Pero may kwenta ba talaga yung project na to? Low relevance because the fountains are simply aesthetic features with no bearing on public water access or conservation. Pero tingnan naman natin the other way around. High relevance, low rigor. Assessment of air quality in barangay pinagkaisahan via eyeballing smog. Yes, may kwenta siya. Kasi yung pollution, it directly affects residents' health and daily life. So, napaka-importante na ma-monitor natin yung air quality. Pero, tama ba yung execution? Tama ba yung pagkakagawa? Pero, hindi. Kasi it only relies on visual impressions and photos. Parang, sinabi lang ng researcher na, parang mausok nga. Mababa yung air quality agad. Ganun. So, hindi maganda yung execution kasi nag-rely lang siya on visual impressions and photos, not calibrated sensors or standardized measurements. So here's the thing that you need to ask yourself to evaluate your current research project. So tama ba yung ginagawa ko? At may silbi ba ang ginagawa ko? So instead of trying to understand all of this, I mean, it's important to understand all of this, pero kumbaga, para pasimplehin natin yung pag-iisip sa mga bagay-bagay. Ito muna yung dalawang tanong na i-prioritize nyo. To identify whether worth it nga ba or kapurso-purso nga ba yung research project na ginagawa ninyo ngayon. So, tama ba yung ginagawa ko at may silbi ba yung ginagawa ko? Okay. So, if you answer no on the first question, seek assistance immediately before it's too late. Bakit? Kasi relevant naman na yung study mo. The only problem is yung execution. So, kailangan mo mag-research extensively, magbasa ng maraming related literature, at mag-consult sa mga experts para magawa mo ng maayos yung research. Paano naman kung no yung sagot mo sa second question. Ito yung parang medyo mas malala siya. Drop your research project right away. Bakit? Kasi, what more to research kung wala naman ng contribution yung project mo. So, kumbaga kung sa relevance pa lang, ligwak na agad yung project. Ano pa yung silbi na i-pursue yan? So, importante na kumbaga parang ito yung pinaka biggest filter natin bago natin isa-isahin yung characteristics ng project dito sa mga criteria na to. So, 'di ba? From those complicated, napakaraming tanong, ma-filter pala natin yung what do you call this? Yung potential no research project just by asking these two questions. Kung tama ba yung ginagawa natin at may silbi yung ginagawa natin. Checking rigor. So, paano nga ba natin malalaman kung tama yung execution natin sa project natin? Find credible references. Ayan. So, alam naman nating lahat na nakakapagod talaga gumawa ng RRL. So, medyo tedious talaga siya, pero importante siya. Kasi, by reading related literature, nakaka-gain tayo ng knowledge sa kung ano na yung naging progress ng iba. Kaya napakahalaga na magbasa at mag-check ng credible references. Para hindi yung nag-iimbento lang tayo, kundi sumusunod tayo sa standard at tumutulong tayo para mapaunlad yung standard na yun. Pangalawa, connect with experts because we don't know everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. Our teachers don't know everything. Kaya importante na humingi ng tulong sa mga experts. So may kanya-kanya tayong expertise. Kaya napaka-importante humingi ng tulong sa iba. Because that's the essence of research. We will always find better ways of doing things. Kumbaga parang nag-stock tayo ng progress. Progress niya, progress mo, ganun. So, yun yung importansya ng pag-seek ng help from others. Kasi, tulungan to eh. Hindi yung aasa ka lang sa sarili mong kaalaman. So, yun yung importante nung pagbabasa at pag-seek ng help sa mga experts. So, checking relevance. So, this is especially connected sa Suri Day 2, kung saan nagbigay ng tips yung ating speaker on how to like search for possible research projects to work on. Ayan. So, observe your surroundings. Be updated of the latest events. Huwag mong ipulong yung sarili mo sa kung ano lang yung nakikita mo. Yung partial point of view na tinatawag. So, you have to immerse yourselves doon sa kung ano ba talaga yung problema na nararanasan ng mga tao. Kasi, kung alam mo ang problema, makakapag-isip ka ng solusyon. So, yun, no? Sabi dito, being informed is being halfway there. So, from these complicated questions, na, of course, kailangan rin naman nating intindihin. Hindi ko naman po kini-claim na wag yun ang basahin tong mga criteria na to. Pero, mabilis pala siya. Pwede pala natin siyang i-simplify. Pwede pala natin pasimplihin yung criteria na yun para ma-assess natin ng maigi kung kapurso-purso ba or worth it bang ituloy yung research project natin. So, that's the end of our second topic. Ngayon na nalaman na natin kung kapurso-purso ba na yung kumbaga criteria kung worth it bang ituloy ang isang research project. Ngayon naman, alamin natin paano i-communicate yung ating research project. So, imagine mo, sumakses na, tapos na, i-communicate mo na lang. So, bakit napaka-importante na hindi tayo mag-end sa na-bookbind na yung research mo? Okay na to? Okay na to. Yan. Pero importante na wag nating kakalimutan tong part na to, yung pagko-communicate natin sa research natin. Kasi ano pa ba yung parang dinidefeat lang natin yung purpose ng research if yung research natin is nasa Google Drive lang or nasa library lang, nasa cabinet lang, hindi natin siya mai-share para makatulong sa iba. Kaya dito pumapasok yung pagko-communicate ng research natin that we have to do effectively. Kasi hindi natin i-assume na lahat nakakaalam ng mga technical terms na yan. So, we have to learn the ways on how to communicate your research effectively para maintindihan ng lahat. So, isa na sa itong mga traditional ways of communicating our research and posters and slide deck presentation. I mean, di na rin talaga sobrang traditional slide deck since modern naman siya. But both of these are integral in communicating our research projects. Kaya kailangan nating matuto how to make one properly. So, ayan. Okay, let's start the bashing session. The joke lang. Kidding aside, and I would just like you guys to take a look at my display board. So, this display board, yung nasa left, ito yung gawa ko nung grade 10 ako. Nung una kong sale sa RSTF. And dito naman, 2 years later, nung grade 12 na ako. So, kitang-kita ba yung difference? So, okay, so, type nyo nga, 1 pag mas gusto nyo yung nasa kaliwa, and 2 pag mas gusto nyo yung nasa kanan. Para malaman natin kung active pa ba kayo at nakikinig. Ano yung sa tingin nyo mas eye-catching, mas maganda? Yung 1 or yung 2? Type na guys. Kanan, 2. Okay. O, diba? Okay. Okay, in-expect ko naman yun. Okay lang yan. Yes, so, aside from the fact na napakatangkad ng display board na to. Okay. So, ibabash ko na siya agad. Binash yung sariling gawa. Anyway. Ayan. So, napaka-obvious naman. Grabe yung text dito sa kaliwa. Ito po, napakaraming text na kaka-overwhelm naman. Parang, tingin mo parang, ain't reading a lot. Ganon. So, kung makikita natin sa background of the study pa lang, wala lang tinamad na si reader. Kasi, puro text. Tapos yung objectives, napakahaba. Ayan, napakahaba. Pag ganito yung gagawin natin, okay, walang magkaka-interest na basahin yan. So, ano nga ba yung dapat natin gawin? Dapat images over text. Kasi si poster, kumbaga ang ano dyan is dadaanan lang ng tao yan eh. During the fair. Kasi nga display siya. So, dadaanan lang ng tao yan. So, you have to make it eye-catching. Dapat gamitin mo yung images mo. So, at least for me, yung pinaka-captivating talaga dito is yung mga mapa. And, compare nyo naman yung background of the study dito sa background of the study dito. So, syempre, kahit naman sino tatamarin magbasa nito. Pero at least dito, na digest natin into like yung type of information na madali siyang intindihin. Like one-liner sentences, tapos mabilis mabasa, mabilis maintindihan, may hierarchy and emphasis. Kung ano yung gusto mong maintindihan agad ni reader. Meron ding picture. Kasi, ganito pala yung itsura ng 3 carbon stock assessment. Unlike dito na, paano ba yung ginagawa? Ano to? Ano to? Ganon. So, dito naman sa objectives, madali lang, assess, identify. Dito, ano yan? 'Di ba? Wala kang ganong maintindihan. Like, just a bunch of highfalutin words that most of people won't even understand. So, yun yung dapat nating intindihin sa paggawa ng display board. Secondary na lang yung design. Information muna. Information talaga muna. Dapat maiintindihan ng lahat. Dito, ayan, may mga pa-icon pa. Wala namang masama sa paggamit ng icon. But make sure to use icons properly and wisely. So, dapat related talaga yung icons dun sa text. So, ayan, dati parang nakaka-overwhelm Pero dito, kumbaga, may tamang hierarchy and kumbaga, may text, oo, pero supported siya by images. Kasi hindi mo na pinapa-imagine si reader. Kumbaga hindi niya naman na trabaho 'yun. Ang trabaho niya lang intindihin yung yung display board. So hindi niya kailangang hulaan ano yung meaning nito kasi pinapakita na niya. So gano'n. Unlike dito na parang mag-i-imagine pa si reader 'te. Eh kung naglagay na lang ng icons para maintindihan. Ayun. Dito naman, ito medyo decent naman 'to. It's just that I think I can definitely make it better. Pero dito, ayan, isa sa mga gusto ko ring i-point out is hindi naman porket images over text, image na lang yung nilagay. So we still need to add supporting text. Kasi again, ang concept, art versus design. Si art, may kanya-kanyang interpretation si audience. Pero sa design, dapat kung ano yung gusto mong pahiwatig, dapat ganun yung maparating sa kanya. Ganun ang concept sa design. So kailangan may supporting text pa rin. Hindi yung maglalagay ka lang ng image, hindi mo naman in-explain ano yung meaning nun. So yun yung parang pangit dito. Kasi nagsalpak lang ako ng image, hindi ko naman in-explain kung ano yung meaning. So dito, at least merong image, merong description, ano yung meaning niyan? Ano yung meaning nito? Ano yung meaning nito? So, again, walang masamang gumamit ng text, pero kailangan yung text and image may sense of balance. And dapat ginagamit niyo siya para talagang magkaswato yung or like nag-agree in each other yung mga information in a way na maiintindihan ni reader sa isang tingin. So, ayun. To sum up, lahat ng mga sinabi ko and based na rin dito sa mga pinakita nating pictures, turn complex ideas into digestible information. Don't assume. Wag assuming na alam ni reader yung study mo. So, dapat kumbaga tayo yung mag-a-adjust. Dapat tayo mag-adjust in such a way na maiintindihan nila. So, dito papasok yung empathy na kailangan kapag gumagawa ka ng communication material, iisipin mo yung kung ano yung naiisip ni audience, hindi yung perspective mo. And ayan, pangalawa, avoid paragraphs. Phrases and short sentences can suffice kasi isang tingin lang yan eh. So kung naglagay ka ng paragraph, nakakatamad. Kumbaga yun yung trabaho nung write-up. Nasa write-up ng information, phrases and short sentences lang lagi sa display board. Hindi kailangang sobrang ganda ng design, ang mahalaga, napaparating natin ng maayos yung information na gusto nating communicate. And dito na talaga. Guilty rin ako dito. Sorry. And fix your paper first before fixing your poster and slide deck. So, ayan. Siguro, marami rin talagang guilty dito. So, chances are, pag pangit yung write-up mo, hindi ka rin makakagawa ng magandang poster and slide deck. Kasi, saan ba manggagaling yung ipapresent mo? Sa write-up. So, kung yung arrangement pa lang sa write-up, pangit na, paano pa kaya sa poster and slide deck? So, kaya, sa first session ng suri, ang diniscuss muna natin is asking the right questions. Kasi, si questions, yun yung magiging guide mo. Balik tayo dito sa example na to. Dito sa objectives natin, dito, assess the tree biomass and identify which areas. Dahil guided ka ng maigi kung ano yung nasa objectives mo, mabilis mong masa-structure si results and discussion. So, assess sa tree biomass, kumbaga lahat ng nasa first part ng results dapat connected kay objective number 1. Hindi siya pwedeng lumayo. Hindi pwedeng naglagay ka na naman dito ng unrelated na result. Dapat itong first part, connected lang siya dito. or at least connected sa research questions na nandoon sa inyong nandun sa inyong paper. And pangalawa, yung pangalawang objective, identify which areas in Quezon City. So, na-identify naman kasi naglagay tayo ng zonal map. So, kumbaga, again, lahat ng nasa paper nyo ay dapat kaswato or nag-a-align doon sa objectives nyo, sa research questions nyo. Kaya, bago nyo pa iplano lahat ng gusto nyong gawin, laging bumalik sa objectives at research questions. Kaya, kung flop na yung research questions nyo agad, wag muna kayo mag-expect na makakapag-produce kayo ng magandang write-up at magandang communication material. So, ayun. Ngayon naman, tapos na tayo sa poster. Slide deck naman. So, si slide deck, typically, ginagamit siya pag nagpa-present ka 5 minutes. Pero, sa tingin nyo, like, ito naman, another ulit. Chat box ulit. Anong mas maganda dito? Kaliwa or kanan? Para sa slide deck ko, presentation. Type 1 or 2 lang, guys. Para malaman ko kung nakikinig pa ba kayo. Ayun, may na-type ulit. Yun, okay. Okay. Kahit yung grade 10 self ko nag-a-agree sa inyo, guys. So, sino ba naman ang maglalagay ng ganto kahabang paragraph sa 5-minute presentation? 'Di ba? Like, lalo na kung 5-minute presentation na nga, naglagay ka pa ng 1 paragraph sa isang slide, parang hindi mo naman binigyan ng karapatan si audience na intindihin yung nilagay mo dun. So, bigyan mo ng karapatan si reader, si audience na maintindihan kung ano yung pinapresent mo. Lalo na kung fast-paced yung presentation, kailangan yung nilalagay natin sa slides ay kayang basahin ni reader in a short amount of time. So, ganun siya. Lalo na sa Science and Technology Fair, ganito kasi yung style. Like 5 minutes lang, and yung simplified version, you don't need to discuss every technicality naman. Kumbaga yung gist lang nung study nyo. Hindi mo kailangan i-explain lahat. Yung, kung ano lang yung summary. Ayan. Science fairs versus conferences. So dito, iba kasi yung atake sa science fair at saka sa conference. Sa science fair, katulad nga nito, kailangan simplified siya, mabilis lang yung 5 minutes lang. Pag sa conference kasi, you are usually given around 20, 25 or 30 minutes to present. So, magkakaroon ka talaga ng pagkakataon na i-explain one by one yung results mo. So, magkakaroon ng differences dyan. Kung sa mga science fair ay ganito, parang kailangan nandito na agad yung information in a glance. So, dito naman, pwede kayong maglagay pa ng mas complex information for as long as nasusunod nyo yung parang guidelines na binigay ng mga conference. Katulad nitong sa IconBack, kung saan nag-attend and nag-present ako last September. So, merong guidelines na binigay, like yung kung ilang maximum number of slides, ano ba dapat yung format, nagbigay sila ng format, and kung ano lang yung dapat mong ilagay. So, although may some sort of creative restrictions, so at least makakapag-present ka naman ng mas mahaba. So, yun din yung kinagandaan sa mga science fairs kasi you're free to add as many slides as you want. Basta, sumusunod tayo sa mga principles na to. So, if you want to increase your chances of winning, if you plan to join next year's science fair, so, you would have to follow this principle na kailangan yung complex idea, wag mo namang ilagay yung buong paper mo sa display board kasi hindi yan write up, display board yan. So, turn complex ideas into digestible information. Yan. So, hindi naman required na sobrang napakaganda, napaka-flashy. Hindi naman required 'yon. Kasi hindi naman to art contest. So, this is a research competition. Ipapresent mo yung findings ng study mo. Mas importante na naiintindihan yung inyong gawa. So, bago natin i-end yung ating session, ayan, just like you guys to remember this. Hindi ko talaga 'to makakalimutan kasi ito yung sinabi sa'min nung speaker namin parang in preparation for NSTF. Science is not finished until it is communicated. Huwag po pabubulukin ang inyong mga study sa Google Drive at sa cabinet. Huwag kayong mahihiya, i-communicate niyo yan, ipagyabang yan. Kasi, kumbaga, ipagmalaki niyo yan dahil gawa niyo yan, pinagpaguran niyo yan. So, ayun. Sana nakatulong yung mga tips na to para effective. Hindi lang basta nagko-communicate, we communicate effectively. Thank you. Ayan. Kung may mga questions kayo, kung may hiya, type nyo lang sa chat box or dito sa Q&A section ng ating Meet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences, Ms. Sero. Your guidance will surely inspire our students researchers to think deeper, communicate better, and pursue research with passion and with purpose and passion. Now is our time for the question and answer portion where you can ask Ms. Sero questions for clarity and more insights. Pwede niyo pong ilagay sa chat box yung questions nyo or mag-raise hand po to open your mic.
Huwag na kayong mahiya magtanong guys dahil last session na natin ito. Ayan. Ayun, may nakita akong nagtanong si Andre. May Q&A session pa rin po ba sa mga international conferences? Yes! And actually, yun yung parang highlight niya. Kasi since conferences siya, nagko-convene yung mga tao doon na nagko-convene para matuto sa isa't isa. So, hindi mawawala ang mga Q&A session. Ayun lang. Kumbaga yun yung highlight, actually. Si Precious, ayan, nagtanong ang ating host, when are display boards usually required? Sa SIP, required talaga siya. Kasi, yan na yung culture. So, ayun. Pero, depende rin, at least dun sa conference na inatenan ko, dun sa Icon Back, since virtual lang naman siya, hindi na required yung poster. So, slide deck presentation na lang yung ginawa ko. From Neil Johnson at Chaso naman, what if yung research po is relevant, pero marami na pong gumawa? Okay. So, usually, kung marami nang gumawa, pero sa, kunwari, ibang setting, ibang lugar. For example, sa research ko, biomass and carbon stock assessment in Quezon City, Philippines. Marami nang gumawa ng biomass and carbon stock assessment, pero saan nga ba nila ginawa? Marami sa rural areas, pero sa urban, wala. So, ayun. Kung relevant naman siya, pero marami nang gumawa, you can try, like, you can try to make modifications sa setting kung ano yung scope nung study. Kaya importante rin yung scope and the limitation of your study dahil you can try to do some replication on existing studies. So, pero gawin niyo siya sa lugar na hindi pa nagbe-benefit doon sa research na yan. So, ayun lang. Any questions pa? Uy, ano to? Oo. Ang Gallardo. Si Kuya Ubay Mami on. Oo, siya yun. Na-delete na nga eh. Yes, so. Okay, may mga questions pa ba? Aliw naman ako sa question mo, Kyle. Lap trip. Okay, may nag-raise ng hands. Wait. Pero, sagutin muna natin to. From Chandler Reyes. How do I make info captivating for audience or readers? So, aside from the fact na, from the principle that you have to make the information digestible, yung phrases and one sentence lang or one-liner, ano lang dapat, kailangan aralin mo rin yung principles of design. So, usually tinatalakay ito sa, I'm not sure if na-discuss siya sa ICT or siguro sa MAPE niya rin. Pag sa senior high, ni-discuss siya sa empowerment technologies. Yung principles of design. So, kumbaga, doon yung matutuhan yung mga, yung emphasis, yung mga ganun, emphasis, repetition, contrast, para unang tingin pa lang, success na, ganun. So, from Villarosa, pwede po ba pink sa display board? Siyempre. Walang pipigil sa'yo. Kahit ano pang kulay ang ilagay mo dyan. Although, personally lang, hindi ko naman kiniklaim na ito na dapat yung gamitin ng lahat. I like white. Yan. So, kasi malinis siya tingnan. And, yun nga, since white is the reflection of, reflects all colors. Ayun. So, napansin ko kasi na typically sa mga, like yung mga katabi mo kasi sa science fair, usually, green or black yung nila. So, maganda ng light color para mabilis siya makita. Yun lang yung personal preference ko, pero hindi ko naman yun pinipilit sa inyo. Bahala kayo kung ano yung gusto ninyo. Ayun. Hindi. Yun na pala. Sagot na pala. May ibang tanong pa pala? May ibang tanong pa ba? Okay. Huwag na kayo mahiya magtanong, guys. Or kung may other questions pa kayo, pwede nyo i-submit sa exit card. Even after our session for today. Sa Kisay kasi parang once lang sila pwede sumali. Yan. Like, parang bawal repeater sa kanila. Yan. So, that's why. Nasagot ba tanong mo, Andre? Ang random naman ng mga tanong. How to use AI effectively? Okay. So, this is a very, very nice question. So, AI, as your actual topic, pwedeng-pwede. Actually, yung NSTF 2025, like parang 95% ng mga robotics research projects ay AI So, pwedeng-pwede. Pero during the, like the idea generation, sa paggawa mismo ng paper, pwede rin naman. Pero, use AI responsibly. So, meron tayong finifill upan na form ngayon na like ngayong taon lang in-implement kung kailan need mo i-declare kailan mo ginamit yung AI and para saan. Bawal mo siyang gamitin para, of course, mag-fabricate ng data and ipasulat na lang sa AI lahat. You can use it, but only as a guide. Para lang mas mapadali yung research process, hindi para i-replace ka as a student researcher. Ayun. So magandang topic din 'to if ever magkakaroon pa ng sequel ang ating suri about the ethical use of AI. Thank you for your question, Neil Johnson Achaso. And any more questions? Can you use AI to guide you on what to research? Yes. And actually, um, isa sa mga tip ko sa inyo guys, para, kumbaga, ano na yung technology natin ngayon eh. So, wag niyong, wag yung wag yung i-limit na, ay, bawal mag-AI. Wag kayong mahiya na ano. Basta use it responsibly. Wag mong gagamitin yung AI para siya na lang gumawa ng lahat, pero you can definitely use it to guide you on what to research. Lalo na, yun nga, napakaraming sources sa internet, and it'll take us a million years, lol, a million years para lang maintindihan yan lahat. So, using AI is very helpful para managaw daw natin kung ano yung pinaka-importanteng basahin. But again, use AI responsibly. Any more questions? Questions? And kung wala ng tanong, ilagay niyo na lang sa exit card kung medyo nag-isip pa kayo, and ibalik na natin yung hapag sa ating host. Thank you.
And kung wala nang tanong, thank you for your wonderful questions. And to our speakers, Mr. Taiko and Ms. Sarah, I'd like to give you this certificate. Hello po. Hello. Ayan, hindi daw po ako naririnig. Ayan, if wala na pong questions, thank you for your wonderful questions. And to our speakers, Mr. Taiko and Ms. Sarah, we'd like to give you this certificate. And certificate of recognition. This certificate is presented to Kenzo Miguel P. Taiko for his contribution as a resource speaker during the scientific undertakings for research and innovation, or SURI, held via Microsoft Teams, organized by the RMCHS Research Club. Given this 31st day of January 2026 via Microsoft Teams, signed by Margalo Amos V. Cerro, the club president, Veronica Iñar, club advisor, Annabel B. Mejia, the head teacher of Science Lab, and Josephine M. Maningas, principal 4 of the Ramon Magsaysay Cubao High School. And certificate of and for na the certificate is presented to Margalo Amos V. Cerro for her contribution as a resource speaker during the scientific undertakings for research and innovation, or SURI, held via Microsoft Teams, organized by the RMCHS Research Club, given this 31st day of January 2026 via Microsoft Teams. Signed by Bea Bianca R. Aban, the club vice president, Veronica Iñar, club advisor, Annabel B. Mejia, head teacher of Science Lab, and Josephine M. Maningas, the principal 4 of Ramon Magsaysay Cubao High School. And so, before we truly end this meeting, let's take this opportunity to take photo ops. You can open your cameras if you want. And again, we have an exit card. Please answer it as proof that you've reached the end of our session. Ayan, if okay na, thank you again everyone for joining today's Suri webinar. This is our last session, so thank you for everyone who joined. Stay safe, stay curious, and feel free to share your thoughts and ideas for a better and innovative future. Have a wonderful day ahead.